What's going on YouTube? So we're standing next to a Jeep like no other, although it does have a familiar name. This is the new Jeep Wagoneer S. The S signifying that this is a sleek new two-row SUV instead of the familiar blocky three-row SUV. Being part of the Wagoneer family means this has some serious luxury, in addition to impressive performance. So is this a Jeep that's truly ready to take on a Range Rover? Well, let's go ahead and find out. So getting started here with the exterior design, you can probably tell right from the second you look at this product just how sleek it really is. And that begins up here in the front with our grille. So this is kind of a new iteration of that signature 7-slot grille that every Jeep has to have. You'll see that it is largely just sealed off up here at the top, just kind of giving you that outline shape. And then what is unique about this is that it actually has illumination in the grille itself. So lights shine down so that day or night, you'll still be able to see the 7-slot design. Now, the lower fascia here, as you can see, this is finished in a nice gloss black. You do have gloss black branding as well for this launch edition model. This is going to be the only trim that's available at the beginning, although more trims will add to the lineup later on. Now let's talk about the lighting as well. So in addition to the grille lighting, you have this big light bar that runs all the way across the front end. It's going to go into our headlight unit here, which is a full LED unit. Projector low beams, you have reflector high beams, and then you got your daytime running light and turn signal indicator right through there. One thing I'm really happy to see is right here, we have conventional LED fog lamps, which is something a lot of vehicles, including rivals to this, are eliminating. Now moving on to our wheels, you have 20-inch alloys on this launch edition. We've got the gloss black finish. You will also be able to get a contrast finish if you prefer that, but overall, really sleek, nice look to this multi-spoke design, and I like the gloss black finish matching with all the other gloss black elements you see around the vehicle, including around our wheel arches, the lower part of the body, our Wagoneer branding here on the door, and our mirrors. So in terms of the mirrors, beyond the gloss black finish, you do have your turn signal indicator built in. You have all the features of standard equipment as well, so that includes auto dimming on both the driver and passenger side, as well as blind spot monitoring, heating, and power folding.
Now at the side of the Wagoneer S, we do have a very premium design, and as far as vehicle length, it's 192.4 inches long, which is about an inch shorter than a Grand Cherokee, for instance, and about an inch shorter than something like a Range Rover Sport. Now, as far as some of the design elements, you will notice that Jeep has done quite a lot to spice up the overall look. One of those elements is that we have a black roof. That's actually going to be standard on every single Wagoneer S because it is standard on the launch edition model. They've also removed all of the chrome to give you that sporty look, which means that even this piece right here is going to be not chrome, but rather a gray finish. So you can also kind of create a little bit of a contrast look depending on what exterior color you select. But as we head around to the rear design, I think this is where it really starts to get sleek and sexy for the Jeep brand. Of course, you do have some signature Jeep elements, but one of the really interesting things about it is that it has a pretty conventional SUV shape when you just first look at it. However, when you start looking at some of the details, you'll notice quite a few interesting elements. For one, the rear glass. It is sloped at a, as Jeep said, a very sedan-like angle, so you'll notice that you don't even have a need for a rear window wiper. And as far as this piece, you have a giant wing. The wing is really what gives you that traditional SUV appearance, even though this is a very sloped-off and aerodynamic vehicle. As far as this piece, we have another little lip spoiler, our Jeep branding, and then down below that we have full-length LED taillights. These are fully LED for every single model, so that includes your brake light, your turn signal, and your reverse light. And as we drop down to the lower fascia, all of this is going to be pretty much sealed off and also finished in a gloss black finish. Your tow capacity is 3,400 pounds. And now let's talk about safety systems for the Wagoneer S. You are going to get every single one of those as standard equipment, so that will even include things like adaptive cruise control, auto high beam headlights. It's also going to include things like their active drive assist function, which is not a hands-free function, but it does allow for some assistance on long highway trips. But guys, I think you're going to be very pleasantly surprised with what you find on the cabin. It is very luxurious. But first, if you're new here, we're brothers and we've been reviewing cars since we were 12
and 16. We started young, and since then we've reviewed over 2,000 cars at every price point.
And if you want to know about all the latest and greatest rides, then make sure to subscribe to be a part of our Car Confections family.
Let's learn a lot and have some fun with all the newest cars. All right, now it's time to hop on inside. First, let's take a look at the key fob. We have Jeep's conventional key fob there with the metal trim on the side. You've got, of course, a standard smart entry system and the remote start function. And then walking up to the vehicle, part of what makes it so aerodynamic is the fact that we've got the flush door handle. So you actually just reach behind there, grab a little sensor, and that's going to unlock the door. And then take a look at the inside of this. So being part of the Wagoneer family does mean that this is a Jeep that's targeting that luxury side of the market. And you can really tell that just looking into the overall interior. But before we get into specific details of the cabin, let's start by talking about the seats as always. So what we have on board is something called Neo Ultra Luxe. So this is actually not a real leather. However, it is very realistic feeling. This is going to be 100% leather free for this interior, but super soft and supple. I have to say I'm very impressed by this. It's a good imitation. I highly doubt anyone is going to notice the difference. In terms of the color choices, as you can see, we've got the black option. The really exciting option, though, is the fact that you can get a red interior. It really stands out a lot. In terms of the seats, we have 14 ways of power adjustment, including our power thigh extension right there. And then, critically, this has standard massaging seats. And you'll see maybe later on inside of that display that you've got a lot of different choices in terms of types of massages you can get. But let's go ahead and get inside. Now closing up the door, let's look at the rest of the cabin materials. We'll begin over here on our door trim. You've got the leatherette that runs through this section with the stitching detail. It's actually going to cover the center as well as the entire top again with that stitching detail. You have some recycled aluminum trim running through here. Going across the upper dash, more of that leatherette. Through the center, you have some piano black, more of textured aluminum running through there. And then down here on the lower part, this is also aluminum, but this has a dark finish. It's actually ceramic coated with a cool texture. Let's go ahead and fire it up with our push button start. It's located right here in front of the shifter. Now, like I mentioned at the front of the vehicle, this does just come in one version. It's really the top spec trim, so everything you see for now is absolutely standard. So let's start here with our gauge cluster. As you can see, we've got a full digital cluster. This is a 12.3-inch display. You can go in and reconfigure a lot of different kinds of information inside of here to whatever you desire. You do, of course, also have a head-up display, so you don't even have to look down at the gauge cluster if you don't want to. Now, pulling back to the steering wheel, kind of matching with the large 3-row Wagoneers, you've got that cool 2-spoke design, which is going to be flat bottom. We also have kind of a non-leather that's covering everything, including our airbag cover with Wagoneer branding. The wheel itself is power tilt and telescoping. It is also heated as well. Now, turning over here to our storage, let's get into that. So underneath our center console to begin with, you're going to notice we've got a quite deep storage cubby. So this drops down a really good distance. It is also felt lined, so it feels pretty luxurious. We are in California today, so we don't have our donuts with us, unfortunately, but we do look forward to doing the donut test soon. However, I'll draw your attention right in front of that. You've got a very large wireless phone charging pad right there. You also have your 2 cup holders right through there. But the secret storage is kind of the coolest thing. If I actually push up on that screen, this is where you're going to find a big amount of storage, guys. That's a ton of storage. It is also felt lined as well. And we'll come back to that display in just a second. But in terms of our shifter, this is a signature rotary shifter like many other Stellantis products. However, it is finished in a beautiful knurled metal, so it feels super high quality. Twist over to D for drive. Twist it to R for reverse. When you go into reverse, you've got this 360-degree camera system. Good resolution on this camera. You can switch between several different views right through there. Also, the mirrors do tilt down when in reverse to help you see the parking lines better. And you have an electronic parking brake with brake hold. Behind that, here's your different drive modes. These are also going to be adjusted with a nice high-quality knob. All right. Now we can take our attention to this display. So obviously, as I was just showing off, you can flip it up and you can bring it back down. And it has kind of a cool graphic on board when that happens. This display is going to be used primarily for climate controls and things related to the seats. So you'll notice you can just very quickly make those adjustments to your temperature, zones, and fan speeds right through there. This is also where you can turn on and off your massage. So you can have driver and passenger side massage, and you can just turn those functions on. When I press on here, we can see we've got all these different settings. So you've got different types of modes, which are kind of inspired by that Jeep lifestyle, such as rock climb. That's kind of cool. And then you have high, medium, and low for each of those. You've got a little row of buttons here for some quick toggles, including a parking assistant. And then let's go ahead and talk about the audio system next. So we've got a nice physical volume knob right there, and this does come standard with the high-end Macintosh audio system. This specifically does have 19 speakers. Yeah, so as you could tell, really impressive sound system on board. Certainly fills up the cabin nicely. And as we expect from the Wagoneer models, it has a really nice high quality sound. Okay, now, before we talk about the main display, you might have noticed there's also some buttons along the side, like some of the other Jeep products. This is where you can activate your 3-stage heated seats, as well as your 3-stage ventilated seats, and then you have your heated steering wheel located right there. The display itself is a 12.3-inch unit, and one of the things that Jeep really highlighted about this product is just that it still has a nice conventional feel. You saw that I've used physical knobs and buttons all throughout. The infotainment system as well is really shared with the other Jeep products, so it's nothing that's going to be super confusing. It's Uconnect 5.0. We have Android Auto pulled up right now. It is wireless as well as wireless Apple CarPlay. If I click home there, you can see that's just kind of our main Uconnect system where you can swipe between different screens, add your own widgets. Again, you can do some climate adjustments up here as well. You have built-in navigation and additional applications right inside of there. Off to the side, we've got the standard passenger display as well. See if I can get that activated. Sorry, it's a bit reflective over here, but this does have the same functions as in the other Jeep products in terms of entertainment. Up top here, we've got an auto-dimming mirror, but it is also the digital camera rear view mirror, and that is standard equipment once again. HomeLink remotes are going to be built into the sun visor. Now that I'm up here on the roof, you'll notice that the entire thing is going to be finished in a suede. And then I will go ahead and roll back the sunshade here for our standard panoramic sunroof. One of the key things that Jeep is pointing out is the fact that a lot of rivals in this space give you a fixed sunroof, but this one does actually open up still.
Alrighty, so let's dive into the rear seat area for this all-new Wagoneer S and see how much space you're going to find back here. Well, it's going to be a pretty good amount, I'm happy to tell you. So we're sitting at about 38 inches of legroom and about 37.4 inches of headroom. So even though we do have quite the sloping roof line, we actually have quite a lot of headroom, especially for someone who's normal size like myself. I'm 5'9", and this seat is adjusted to Drew, who is 5'8". We are still looking at quite a bit of additional knee room. That's why we bring our ruler along with us. About 7.5 inches of knee room with that seat adjusted to Drew's position. Now, underneath of the seat, my feet can easily slide. I also want to point out just some nice details, such as like a leather back of the seat as well. And then, as far as the seats themselves, we do have a fold-down armrest, 2 cup holders inside. As far as reclining, you can do that here in the Wagoneer. just be aware it's not going to recline much at all. Now let's dive into the center section and some of the features you'll find. No vents, or actually, excuse me, no climate controls. We do have vents here on the Wagoneer S, and then dropping below that, a really nice feature, standard on every single model, at least for now. That means we have heated and ventilated back seats. That's really a bougie feature you see really on very few vehicles, and it is standard equipment on the Wagoneer S. A household outlet down below that, 2 USB-C ports. Then if you take a look at the door trim, it's going to be nicely done. We have a leatherette on the upper part, some more of that aluminum trim. Leatherette really through most of the door trim. It's nicely done. And we have bottle storage down there. It easily fits a Gatorade water bottle, although I don't have my Stanley with me to test that out. Now walking up to the tailgate, of course you have a hands-free power one, standard equipment. And let's see how much space you're going to find in the Wagoneer S. Now, I'm happy to tell you that it actually does still have quite a lot of space. A lot of times if you have a really sloped off roof line, which you can easily see over here on the side just how much it is sloped off, that means you really have a terrible cargo capacity. But thankfully, we still have 31 cubic feet behind the second row of seats. And if we fold those seats down, we're looking at about 61 cubic feet as a maximum. Now that is going to be less than a Grand Cherokee 2-row, for instance, so keep that in mind. But overall, it's not too much of a sacrifice at all. Now, as far as the features back here, we do have 60/40 split folding seats. There are not any handles to fold them from the cargo area, so I will have to either reach up here, which I'm a little too short for, or just go do it from the second row. And now that I've got those seats folded down, let's go ahead and get our cargo length, width, and height figures. This is a Car Confections review after all, so in case you're looking to haul something specifically, how much length can you expect? Well, from behind Drew's 5'8" driving position, we're looking at 78 inches of cargo length. From behind the second row, 40 inches of length. As far as the width, that's going to be about 42 inches wide, and the height, this is where you're going to pay a little bit of a price for, the sloped off design. It's only about 25 inches tall, and that's here at this point towards the end of the cargo area. Ooh, my tape measure is getting a little wild on me. You are looking at only about 10 inches tall, so keep that in mind. It is definitely sloped off, and that's going to impede a little bit on your cargo capacity. If we look up underneath of the floor, there's a little Easter egg right there. There's quite a bit of additional space under here. However, I am not seeing a spare tire. But we're not done yet when it comes to storage space, because this Wagoneer S does have a pretty unique feature that you've never seen before on a Jeep. That's right, this Wagoneer S does actually have a frunk. Now, it's not going to be a massive amount of space, but it is about 3 cubic feet according to Jeep. So first of all, it's good for things like your charge cable. It's actually quite nice to just have this extra storage space so it doesn't stink up or, make your cabin a less than desirable place to spend time.
Now, as you saw with Mason's scene and the frunk, you now can get the impression that this obviously is not a traditional Jeep. This is an electric Jeep product, and as such, it does free up the ability to have things like a frunk, because we have a 100.5 kilowatt hour lithium-ion battery pack that exists all across the bottom of this structure. This is going to be paired to a dual motor all-wheel drive system, and that makes a very impressive 600 horsepower and 617 pound-feet of torque. So those are huge numbers, obviously. Jeep says that's good for a 0 to 60 of only 3.4 seconds, which is faster than a Trackhawk. So this is going to be one of the very fastest Jeeps of all time. So this does have a 400 volt architecture, and in terms of some charging times, let's talk about that. A DC fast charge, you're looking at 5 to 80% in about 28 minutes. On level 2, 5 to 80 is going to be about 6.8 hours. And then you do have the CCS charger, so we don't have quite the newest North American charging standard quite yet on board with this. In terms of other things to mention, this actually does have a 50-50 weight distribution, and obviously it has a very low center of gravity as well. And of course, the last very important point I need to make is that this has 303 miles of range. Now, we are excited to take this out on the road and show you the incredible performance of this model, but we can't do that quite yet. So we do have a driving impressions embargo in place until that date down below. We wanted to go ahead and show you this new exterior, this beautiful interior out here in sunny California as soon as possible, but you are gonna have to wait patiently just a little bit longer to see those in-depth driving impressions. So make sure to come back at the date down below me.
All right, and let's talk about pricing for the Wagoneer S. Now, Jeep has released the official number, so we are sitting at just a hair under $72,000 with destination included for this Wagoneer S. Like we said throughout this review, there is only one version available. That is the launch edition right now. In the future, Jeep will be announcing other versions of this, I assume at a lower price point if you are interested in looking at that. Now, as far as tax credits, that's of course going to largely depend on where you live and the federal rules at the time that you go to buy this vehicle. Now, if you're looking to buy a Jeep Wagoneer S or any new vehicle, we would encourage you to go to carconfections.com/newcarquotes. The reason you do that is because we have a tool on our website that will connect you with local car dealers in your area to get you the best price. It's also going to give you access to invoice pricing information, which is a great tool for dealership negotiation and can help dealers to start competing on price. We even have a monthly payment tool if you'd like to take advantage of that. Again, a link to that is in our video description, and we also have a pinned comment at the top of this video. Now, as far as Jeep's warranty, it is going to be a 3-year 36,000-mile basic and a 5-year 60,000-mile powertrain warranty. But buying a car is about more than just the original MSRP, so let's dive into resale and reliability. First up, let's talk about resale value. As an economics graduate myself, Drew and I took the time to develop what we think is a good estimate for this Jeep Wagoneer S's potential resale value. We estimate that after 5 years and 60,000 miles, it'll be worth 53.6% of original MSRP, and after 10 years and 120,000 miles, 25.4%. Now, I do want to make a special note that is actually right around industry average. However, due to this being an electric product, sometimes that does positively or negatively affect your resale value, so do be aware of that.
Now, we've also done the same for reliability by developing the Combined Reliability Index. This takes into account several studies from trustworthy sources and combines them in a way that gives you a more holistic picture. In this regard, Jeep is rated exactly at the overall industry average for all vehicle makes.
Now, if you'd like to learn more about our resale values, reliability data, or our methodology, be sure to go to carconfections.com/resale and carconfections.com/reliability. Buying a new vehicle is a very big decision, so you want to make sure you're making a smart purchase, especially if you're cross-shopping between different vehicle brands. And guys, that's going to wrap up our in-depth review of the Jeep Wagoneer S. If you enjoyed watching this video or found it helpful in your purchasing decisions, which we hope you did, we'd really appreciate it if you hit that subscribe button down below. By subscribing, you're going to get the latest car reviews such as this, and you're also going to be a part of our Car Confections family. We have a lot of fun on this channel. I promise you won't want to miss out. If you're already a part of our family, thank you so much for your continued support, and we'll catch you next time as we sample more of the latest automotive delicacies.